1069. Online for you, that at WRTK.com. And hopefully, off to a decent program this morning. We installed new soft and hardware in the studio last week. It was a little bit more smooth than I expected that to be. A few bumps in the road and the like. I know a lot of people are expecting yakety sacks this morning on the program after that Browns outing yesterday. I am unable to find it in my system as of right now. I apologize. We will be on the hunt for the yakety sack sound yesterday. Your quarterback going 15 of 128. No, I'm sorry, 15 of 28 for 128. One touchdown, no interceptions. Now, I guess if you want on the offensive side of the ball, you got head coaches and quarterbacks yelling at one another. Now, that can mean something or it can't. We've seen this a million times with performance-type jobs. You know, people will get heated. I was trying to do this. I told you to do this. I know, but in the situation, it wasn't going to work. And I had to look at this, and there's going to be some of that. I don't know how much of a breakdown there is. You saw a lot of people using that word yesterday. I've gotten into plenty of heated conversations with management over my career. And most of the time, what you know is like, all right, we were headed for one of these. We kind of needed to do one of these. I got a little too disrespectful about that. You don't respect me enough for that. And the next thing you know, we were kind of, you know what I mean? And it kind of happens. You kind of have that blow up. Next thing you know, you're on the move. Everything's fine. Just needed to get it out. Purge the system, if you will. Is that where we are? Or is this relationship fractured? It's starting to look the other way a little bit yesterday. I understand why fans are like, oh, Kev's over. I mean, he literally was head and hands yesterday on the sideline like, oh my God, what am I looking at here? But now, a lot of penalties in yesterday's game still. That's not Deshaun. That's not Miles. That's not at the end of the day, do penalties come down to coaching? Why are they so unorganized always? Always. And I'm not even looking to jump up and down. I like it. I think that's a pretty good coach. I think he's probably early. I've been saying. I think you're dealing with the growing pains of Kevin Stefanski, much like Philadelphia did with Andy Reid for so long. I think that's kind of what you're dealing with there, which is why I don't think you throw him out. But at some point, man, you got to get these guys accountable to you. And why do they feel as if they're not accountable to you? I'll give my boss crap all day. I'll joke around with him all day. I absolutely 100% at the end of the day feel accountable to him. And if he puts his foot down like, this is what we're doing, then that's what we're doing. Right? We'll have a little well, what do you think? All right, dude, Stansbury, I'll tell you what, if you can sell me, then we'll do it your way. Sell me. And then we get a little bit back and forth, but when he puts his foot down and says, nah, man, I gotta tell you, you didn't sell me, we're doing this, then we're doing that. I don't know why they don't feel that way. To Kev, to Schwartz, is that what it is? Do they kind of feel it's like, oh, dude, we got Schwartz just sitting here. What are we doing? I don't know what it is. Luckily, we have Scott from waitingfornextyear.com, and he'll join us at 8 a.m. You know what the biggest problem with the Browns is? It's not even the record. It's not the fact that they're not going anywhere this season. It's not the fact that it's none of that. It's the fact that you can be this putrid. You can be this bad and still completely 100% overshadow a playoff team that had a fantastic game one, obviously talking guards here a little bit, ends up 7-0 the other day over the Tigers. Fireworks all over the place. Good offensive baseball, young scrappy team playing great together. Can't take your eyes off of it. Browns overshit. Oh, by the way, Ohio State. Just Saturday, here it is. Just smiles all day Saturday. Sunday, yeah, here we come to crash it down to the freaking ground. Weather was beautiful yesterday. What the hell was I on the couch for? I should have been at the golf course. This isn't a Browns problem. This isn't a Deshaun problem. This isn't a Kevin Stefanski problem. This is, like most things in my life, a Dan Stansbury problem. I know better than to be on that couch. We'll talk to Scott about that today. We'll do that at 8 o'clock. Also, is it possible that CBS took an absolute cash cow off the air because of family values? I'm not so sure. Fans think, yes, this is what's happening. Also, I see the vice president currently running to be president is, for some reason, being dragged to the end of the earth for going on a podcast. I'm shocked. People are shocked that a presidential candidate is doing podcasts in 2024, since it's nowhere near the first time that has ever happened. I don't know why she's catching so much hell about this. And we'll get into that a little bit today here on the Salisbury Show. Oh, apparently another resident of ours crashed into the front of another local business here. I don't know why this keeps happening. I've said forever, it's one of the worst driving cities I've ever seen. I said the driving here is terrible, and people crashing into businesses keeps proving how right I am.
The Stansberry Show.
Weird, lame, gross, dumb, freak, loser, perv, toothy.
On Rock 106.9.
One of the best ways to start Monday, start a new week, bonus $1,000. All you hear about is the word economy. You're going to hear that word a lot over the next month. It's clearly an issue. We can ease some of the pain of that. 9 a.m. this morning, your first $1,000 keyword of the day. Guardians with a 1-0 lead in the ALDS over the Tigers. That after winning at home Saturday 7-0. It was awesome. Couldn't take my eyes off it. Had so much fun watching that. I even posted during that game, I'm thinking about not watching the Browns tomorrow so they don't ruin this. Obviously joking around, but we all kind of knew that was a possibility, and sure enough. I mean, it's just not very good. Now, the Commanders are on the mend. They're on the build. It looks like Jaden Daniels is going to be pretty good. Now, I would say let's pump the brakes there a touch. The amount of quarterbacks we've seen come in early, and look like, ho, 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 you need this kid right here. I mean, we can use the Commanders themselves, RG3. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, maybe not. Right, so we'll see with Jaden Daniels. Now, I've said, as a football fan, I'm hoping he's gangbusters great. I want to watch really good games. And when you looked at him yesterday, you're like, I don't know if he's great. Pretty damn good right now. But that's the problem, isn't it? See, because, like, the Browns so far have made everybody look really good. I think Malik Neighbors with the Giants is going to be really good. But, I mean, they made Ian Daniel Jones look like Montana and Rice. And sure enough, yesterday, it's like, oh, my God. Now, I know what you could say is, well, dude, the defense, man, at some point, Stansberry, like, if you went in there every day and nobody helped you and nobody supported, right, like, when is your attitude going to get to the point of, like, you know what, dude, kind of screw it? Yeah, you're not wrong there, because I don't think it would take that long. You know? A lot of self-deprecating humor comes out of, like, this studio about me and about who I work with and for and all of that, but it is mostly that. You're not wrong. That if that's what I was dealing with, or I felt like that's what I was dealing with, it wouldn't take all that long for my attitude to be like, you know what, screw this place, I'm kind of over it. For this schmuck over here, now you got to wonder, is that where they are? Emmanuel Ocho, a guy I don't find myself agreeing with a whole lot, posted that video of Judy dropping that ball in the end zone yesterday. And said his receivers hate him. Like, what other excuse? Like, what else are you going? Like, they hate him. There's no excuse to drop this ball, is what he said. Now, he played in the league a little and bounced around a little. But the thing is, like, oh, I don't know about that. We've seen plenty of drops in the NFL. By the way, they have been the Cleveland drops. Going into yesterday's game, they had more drops than any other team in the league. Tough to evaluate your quarterback when that's the reality, although I think he's making it easier to evaluate because it doesn't look very good. Like, it doesn't. The offense doesn't look smooth. It doesn't look click. Like, people will talk about Kevin Stefanski, even nationally around the league, like, oh, dude, offensive genius. He's kind of one of those guys. I hope so. When I turn on most games coached by offensive geniuses, it looks like it. It's like, dude, look at that. So I don't know what to make of any of this. After the game, fans and media a little curious. Kev, we got Jameis. He's right there. It's 1-4 now, Kev. Are we thinking about it? Now, the problem with asking somebody whether or not they've thought about something is the moment you've asked them, they've thought about it. Right? So, like, that's why people ask that question so much. Here's what Kevin Stefanski said yesterday after that game. Quote, "We're not changing quarterbacks." That your head coach per Mary Kay Cabot. Quote, "We need to play better. I need to coach better. And that's really all it is." All right. Welcome to Coach speaking that. And I don't want to go overboard, this and that. It feels like a little bit more than that. Again, Watson yesterday, 15 of 28 for 125 yards. Now, when you drop balls in the end zone, but I mean, was it third down? He tried to hit Amari Cooper and overthrow him by like 10 yards. In the NFL, Amari, it's one of those things like where there were guys near him in the NFL, that's wide ass open. That's wide ass open. And he overthrew him by like 15 yards. It happens in every game to every quarterback, every stud, but when you're not playing well, those are the throws that they're going to stick out. Because those are the first down throws. Those are the move the offense throws. Those are the get you into scoring position throws. That's what does it. Because Tom Brady's got a million of them. Honestly, Tom Brady's B-roll of overthrowing a wide-open wide receiver would probably take us 4 hours to watch. But the problem is, Homer's got 7 rings. So nobody cares. Right? Because that stuff does happen in every game. They also find a way to hit the guy right in the hand. Although he did, though, right? I mean, last week he hit Cooper dead in the hands. Yesterday, he hit Judy dead in the hand. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know what more wide receivers want. Is it that they hate him? Is it? I would have thought if they were going to hate him, maybe I'm wrong. I would have thought, I hate my quarterback. It would have been before the season. Everybody's still talking about the off-the-field stuff. I have to answer for this every time I show up to work. I'm kind of annoyed. I met this dude 25 minutes ago. I don't know. And that would have been. Although I guess, man, you're a professional. And you're looking at your record. And you're looking at your division. By the way, that Bengals-Ravens game yesterday, that makes it so much worse for the Cleveland Browns. You understand that, right? Of course you do. Joe Burrow, dude, I can't, as a matter of fact, I can't decide who I feel worse for. Us or Bengals fans. This is what I mean. Joe Burrow threw 5 touchdowns yesterday, man. 5! And they lost. Imagine leaving that stadium yesterday when your quarterback gives you 5 touchdowns. And you're like, you know what? I don't. But look at that division now. That game yesterday, an absolute fireworks show. Baltimore wins 41-38 over the Bengals. Overtime. Offense is so good, they can't get this game figured out in the allotted time to do it. Cleveland Browns, conversely, 13 points.
The Stansberry Show.
I've heard many a loon, and if there ever was a loon, that is a loon.
On Rock 106.9.
9 a.m. this morning, I'll rock the bank with you, get that first $1,000 keyword passed out in the training module and decided not to do that. So I apologize. We'll try to get the accurate stacks out for you. I almost feel like at 1 and 4, yeah, kind of. Quarterback did not play great yesterday. Again, though, a few drops. Did get accused of quitting on his team there as they were lining up trying to score. He comes walking off the field, last couple of seconds tick down, and people think, that like he gave up and quit. But in reality, he looked on the field and realized we have too many guys out there. And so he started walking off the field. He not happy about it. Kev not happy about it. A lot of people around the country already have given Kevin Stefanski a lot of credit over the fact that he went out of his way to cover his mouth to make sure that, the lip reading and like a lot of that stuff couldn't happen all day. Now, once you cover the mouth, you know what you're saying, right? Like at that point, it's kind of one of those situations. But, again, that's not Deshaun quitting on the team there. That's him understanding we can't run this. We can't do this, right? Like we can't do this. So they ended up, having a kick again. I believe they took the delay of game penalty versus burning that timeout. But it was like they had just taken a timeout. Was it 2 plays before that? Memory serves, I think it was 2 plays. And again, this is coaching. Guys on the field, knowing it's not like Kevin Stefanski pushed the guy out there on the field. It's like, all right, fair. But penalties are coaching. Like it is. And I like the guy. I like him. And I've said, I feel like what you're dealing with is growing pains on the way to a really good NFL head coach. I remember I said last year, that's the evaluation that is going to have to be made in Berea. Is the payoff of this guy down the road going to be some of these right now where it's like, oh my God, you see that? Right? Like because they all go through it while trying to figure out how to be one of the best NFL head coaches of all time. So I guess that's the evaluation that you're going to have to make. A lot of people bringing up Nick Chubb. At this point, why do it? Seriously, why put him out there? at 1-4, the offensive line literally just looks at defenders as like, have your way with them. I'm not sure you wait. I mean, coming off an injury like that, coming together, okay. Week 6. I mean, it's just we're already to be 110% of what he was pre-injury to help you get this season turned around. I'm not sure that season's getting turned around. I'll never write Nick off, ever. He's one of those human beings. It's like, yeah, man, until I see he can't do it, I'll believe he can do it. For sure. He's one of those guys for sure. Absolutely no argument out of me. But knees don't get better. Receiving core that's having issues. I'm sorry, you get hit in the numbers in the hands in the end zone and don't catch it, I refuse to blame the quarterback for that. Well, they don't like him. I don't care. You know how many program directors I didn't like? A lot, dog. Like a lot. But when them ratings came back, if they weren't good, who do you think got blamed? It was me. So it's not like I'm going to be like, well, I'll just cut off my nose to spite my face here. Like, that's bonkers. Which, by the way, if you hate your quarterback, you probably hate the situation you're in, which is then get me the hell out of here. And the best way to do that is to make sure you're catching the balls in the end zone. Then you can call your agent and be like, bro, we got tape, right? I mean, get me out of here. New Orleans looking for a guy. I hear KC could use a wide receiver. Get me out of here. So, like, I don't know if I buy they don't like him, so they're dropping balls thing. These guys, some of them, I think most, are probably too egotistical to look like they can't catch just to make Deshaun look worse. Aren't you at this point as a wide receiver looking at it like, how much work do I really got to do to make this guy not look like he did? Right? I mean, at that point, that's why I'm not sure how nefarious at that point. Looking pretty rough. Kev saying yesterday we're not switching quarterbacks. I posted this yesterday. I wonder if that remains to be true. I don't think there's a chance they change him before Sunday. Do I think there's a chance you change that quarterback before the end of the season? Yes. Yes. A lot of you are worried, like, we're past that point. Just start selling off some of the players we got. We got studs, dude. Like, just start selling them off. Get the draft picks back, regroup, do it again. Yikes. There's definitely a school of thought of that. Every time you do it, I think you're waiting 2 more years. Although it looks like you're waiting 2 more years right now anyway. Solid argument, fair enough. I think the bigger problem with that system, and we'll talk to Scott from waitingfornextyear.com about this at 8 o'clock, is if I start moving players, though, and I start really moving deals around, aren't I waiting for my fall guy, for how all of this experiment has gone? And that fall guy, it's not going to be the 2-time coach of the year. It's going to be the general manager, right? So my thing is like, I'm not sure they start selling pieces off, start working deals off until they know what they're going to do at that situation. Because I think there's a better than average chance, and we'll ask Scott from waitingfornextyear.com this at 8 o'clock this morning. I think there's a better than average chance Andrew Berry is fired. And right now, it's looking like by Thanksgiving.
The Stansberry Show.
I just keep waiting for a lotto ticket out of my boring existence.
On Rock 106.9.
CBS is being accused of taking a cash cow off the air over family values. I'm not sure I buy it. We'll get there. The actors in the show complaining. We got fans of the show complaining. Pretty big hit. Yeah, we'll get there. Friday, an accident here in town led to a fatality. Andrew Grossman, 69, of Plain Township, was pronounced dead at Cleveland Clinic Mercy Hospital about 5 after 9 p.m. This was about 9 hours after the accident. This happened at Angelo's To Go on Fulton there. It was about 5 to noon. And an 81-year-old Canal Fulton woman was looking to park like her little crossover SUV type vehicle and the like. I don't know if any of you have ever been there. It's usually pretty busy when you go because it's really good. That plenty of you have been. It's not necessarily the largest parking lot you have ever seen.
There's also a drive-through right next to that. So, like, you know, it can be busy in and out of there is what I'm saying. She went to go try to park the car and apparently drove through the front end of the restaurant. She pinned this guy to the counter. I mean, not on purpose, obviously, but she pinned him to the counter. Apparently, he had been pinned there for 21 minutes. And again, pronounced dead later that evening at the hospital about 9:05. She later told police that she applied her foot against what she believed to be the brake pedal when it was actually the gas pedal. She ended up driving through the entrance of Angelo's, pinning Grossschmidt against the restaurant's counter. Her vehicle almost hit his preteen granddaughter who was standing in the corner. Oh my God. Also almost hit the restaurant's cashier who had just left her position at the register to get his order. The Jackson department said firefighters arrived around noon and freed him about 12:15. They used a portable winch attached to their rescue vehicle to pull the SUV off of him. He was taken by ambulance to Mercy. No one except him was injured. Paramedics evaluated the woman who was driving the SUV, but she refused treatment. He said officers found no indication that drugs or alcohol use played a role in the crash. They continued to investigate what happened. Yeah, I'm going to guess that this was a little bit about the age issue, right? I mean, she's 81 years old. And I have jokingly said this about my mother for years, right? When talking about running the country or a CEO or whatever, I wouldn't even let my mother borrow the car. And the truth is, we just had the other day another situation too, from what I understand, with my mother, where my brother and I had to have a conversation, and I'm like, David, it might be time. Apparently, my mother, while backing out of a parking spot in a Walmart in Las Vegas, there had been a kid behind her on a scooter of some kind. She bumped into him. He's fine, everybody's fine, this and that, but like at the end of the day, it's like that could have been a nightmare scenario. This, apparently, according to my brother, 4 days after, she thought she had pulled all the way into the garage, but didn't, and the garage door hit the car or something, and he's beside himself, right? Because he had, like, leased this woman this car. I've been saying this forever, like, I don't, but at some point, we are going to have to evaluate. Leaving it family by family, I'm not sure is working out, is what I'm saying. The last time I was in Vegas, in the passenger seat with my mother, behind the wheel of the car, I can tell you, I didn't necessarily feel all this. And while having a conversation with her at a red light, she was looking directly at me. We were in a little bit, I won't call it an argument, but I was right, she was wrong scenario, right? We were in one of those. Next thing I know, she just starts pulling forward into the intersection. I said, Sue, what are we doing here? Like, just be... That when the cops tell you that she's on medication, but I don't think she was just sitting... I've said this forever. It's one of those conversations that the country has to have at some point. It's tough because respect your elders, and right, there's that whole thing that goes into it. But 81 years old, and this happens, you know? Now, it could happen to a 15-year-old too, but I've had that conversation. I guess we'll make 16. I was going to make it about your permit, but okay. Because I've said about young drivers. It's an interesting conversation with that, right? That I don't think most people think really young drivers are a good idea. I think what we all think is, well, the world's pretty busy and I got places to be and my boss won't let me off work to take her to, you know, to football or karate or baseball or whatever it is. Yeah, so drive your little brother, right? Like, it's kind of one of those. I don't think most people think that's a really good idea that we do that. Yeah, people circling back to early in the story, and this is coming in off my text line, 330-450-7625. So the preteen daughter saw it? Yeah. Watched their grandfather be pinned. Now, I would assume, I don't know, it doesn't say here in the article, that somebody thought better of to get her out of the restaurant. But, she saw it, yes. It's life, right? And that text message. Ask your friend how they're doing. I know, I'm not that guy. I'm just not. This poor woman, too, by the way. 81 years old. Nana? You know she's sweet, right? And now she's carrying this. She didn't want to do this. It was an accident. Now she feels awful. I knew a girl once We haven't spoken in a long time. Woman, we'll call her, because that's what she is. I knew a woman once who she killed somebody behind the wheel of a car, and it wasn't her fault. She ended up getting cleared and the whole thing. And, you know, she says, while you're going through it, everybody's like, it's not your fault. You're going to be fine. This and that. And she's like, nobody ever thinks about the fact that that's the least of your worries at that point. Like, it literally is. She's like, so yeah, she goes, it wasn't my fault, and I'm not going to jail, and I'm not responsible financially, and all of this stuff. That's all fine. It happened, and I was involved in it. And to pretend that I'm just going to, like, shake off, you know, the weight of it off my shoulders just because I'm not going to. Now I'm talking about her story, not this one, but like, and she's right about that. I may have told you this story once before. When I was in high school, my buddy's, I think it was his stepdad, was pulling out of the driveway and hit a kid on his bike. He didn't see him coming past the cars. Still a nice guy, would put the face on for you and this and that, but you could just tell there was just a light that had been extinguished, and it was never coming back. He could put it on for you a little bit, but like, even as a kid, you could tell it's like that dude's shaking in a way he's never recovering. Nightmare scenario there for everybody involved. But the Groschmidt family, obviously, having lost their family. This 81-year-old now feels terrible. I'm sure her family too. And a business, I'm sure, going to take a little while to get back up and running, fully operational, and not have people going, oh, they open? I don't know. It's still cardboard, this and that. That's pretty good business, by the way, there. Angelo's to go. Never had. That's pretty good. They're known for the pizza, obviously, that's pretty much what it is a pizzeria, but dude, don't sleep on their sandwiches either. I personally feel like they might have the best BLT in Stark County. Really, really, really good there. Sad story there from Friday here in Stark County. All right, the vice president is being mocked, dragged, kicked up and down the internet for going on a podcast. This is overreaction like I've never seen. So we'll get into it next year a little bit on the Stansbury Show.
The Stansbury Show.
I propose we head for the Mars.
On Rock 106.9.
ALDS Game 2 today, just after 4 o'clock at Progressive Field in Cleveland, winning 7-0 over the Tigers on Saturday. Yeah, we'll probably talk to Scott about that Browns game too. What do you think happens in Berea, if anything? Do results like yesterday make changes? Kind of feels like this season we may see some changes. We'll talk to him about it. We'll do that at 8 o'clock. All right. If my math is right, and easily could be off here, it's not my strongest subject if I'm honest, but is it 28 days until we head in and vote? I haven't been talking about it as much as recently. Not really a decision. Just kind of like, not much of it has really has motivated me a whole lot to be talking a lot about it, if I'm honest. And I'm almost kind of tired of it. And, you know, we were talking about it in the office here the other day about the advertising of it. You know, political and all that, local and national campaigns and the spending and all of that. And we got into the conversation about how plenty of the audience members, you know, they're just like, oh, dude, I hate that. Or, you know, you'll take partial blame for some stuff people hear in you know, hit piece ads and the like. And it's like, so I'm ready for. I like the spending of political season, but I'm ready for it. Criticized the vice president plenty of time. Issue is the name of this podcast. And I would say, as a guy who's been on the radio for 2 decades and the show's called The Stansbury Show and this and that, like, these days I would avoid wacky names of stuff. Right? Like, I would, if you're looking, well, especially, you know what, let me amend that statement. If you're looking to interview presidential candidates, politicians, current 3 segments that Alex has done recently, 3 shows, podcast episodes, if you will. Done. Was named Joe Biden. During that campaign, election day is I'm gonna fight back on that, because evaluating everything, I think quite people don't like what happened here with Call Her Daddy is Trump and Rogan can't seem to get together. A lot of Trump fans aren't going to like this, and it's because he knows Rogan's going to ask him things that he does not want to talk about. So I can bring it. So how you position yourself and what you call it and this and that will change people's views on it. This isn't really that big of a deal. She went and did a podcast. If you want to criticize her for it, do it in the better way. Don't make it about the fact that she did a pod. Do it about the fact that she's tripling down on the young female audience, trying to motivate the vote, because if she doesn't, she's going to lose. She is going to lose. So she went to Call Her Daddy to try to motivate an apathetic group of voters to get them out there over the one issue that they care about to win. You know, otherwise known as running for president.
The Stansberry Show
Would you mind speaking in a civilized language?
on Rock 1069.
330-450-7625 to text your studio, and we have been talking about the current vice president running for office to continue to stay there in, on Pennsylvania Avenue. And she did a podcast. Podcast is called Call Her Daddy, and yes, Alex Cooper, the host of it, will talk sex quite a bit, as I talk. And anybody who's not having it is thinking about the fact that they wish they were having it. And it's like, I'm tired of people being this uptight about the conversation of sex. Like, we're in the world where people are doing this on OnlyFans 24/7, a day, earning a living on it. The conversation about it is probably not the issue, right? Yeah, probably not. It's like, everybody's clutching the pearls here. I think the name of the podcast is dumb. Yes, it is. It's in this sea of podcasts, so they probably give it a name to where it's like, what's that about it? It's a little dirty, right? A little dirty. It's not that big of a problem. It really isn't. And she went where a lot of her audience is. And what they're worried about, her campaign, and I would imagine this is an issue. It's not an issue for her. This is an issue. That there are a lot of people out there that would likely vote for us. That if we got them off the couch that day, went to the polls to vote, they would vote for us. The problem is getting them off the couch. So she went to a place where a lot of those people listen and is trying to get them off the couch. She didn't invent that. She didn't do anything like undermining or dirty or illegal to. Now, yes, that will be a very friendly environment for her now. Back in the day, Howard would have wanted to, I need the thing. I don't know how much he'll actually contribute if that should happen, but look for Howard. Dude, she is not all that likable. I know they're trying to tell you she is. She's not. She's never been. That's never been a thing. There are a lot of progressive people who have an issue with her, who will tell you until they are blue in the face what those issues are. They, even though they didn't get to vote for their candidate, they never list that. I find that's one of those things the opposition constantly brings up about how it's not right and undermining and threat to democracy, right? And it's because they can't seem to get the progressive voters, even the ones who don't like her, to get all that up in arms about that issue. It is strange. I don't think that's why people are dragging her for this. I don't. This to me feels like rules for thee, not for me. Oh my gosh, she went on a sex podcast. And I'm going to go back to Trump.